Hello, my loves. Today we're going to talk about how to stop letting little boys tell you how to be a woman. Most toxic men do not want a submissive woman. Most toxic men want a bad boss bitch who they can get to submit to them. So when you hear all of these guys like the Andrew Tates of the world try to tell you that you should be more submissive or that you're too aggressive or too intimidating, what they're really revealing to you is that they feel threatened by you. You can take two different types of men, the Andrew Tates of the world and the real alpha men of the world. And each of those men will look at your behavior in two very different lenses. The Andrew Tates of the world will say, they won't say the word intimidating because I feel like that would reveal them too much, but they'll say that she's in her masculine energy or that she's too aggressive or too whatever. Like basically the underlying message is that you're too much. But then the real men of the world will look at that and feel turned on by that. They'll look at that and feel like they're meeting their equal or feel like someone who is going to challenge them in a positive way. They won't assign words like aggressive or intimidating or assertive to you just shining in your light because they don't want to dim that light. When men say things like, she's just too aggressive or she's too assertive, I don't like girls like that, what they're really telling you is that you don't make them feel the way that they want you to make them feel. And I'm speaking to my younger self because I have been called intimidating my entire life, like by men, women, people who are older than me, people who are younger. I literally had a woman call me vicious before. Girl, you're just mad that I spiked the ball over the net and you couldn't get it. Like we were playing at the gym and it was like this older woman and I spiked the ball in volleyball and she had to dive to get it and she couldn't get it. People feel the need to like call your greatness something that feels insulting to you or almost feels like a directive to tell you to turn down whatever you're doing. I want you to think about this differently, not because you need to care what other people think, but because a lot of times these messages do make us feel like we're too much. They do make us feel like because we're too much, we're not good enough for the types of people that we want in our lives, or that something is wrong with us. And if we don't turn the volume down on whatever feels too loud for other people, then we're going to risk not being in a healthy relationship or not attracting the man of our dreams. And I was just reflecting on that today, and it's really ironic because I'm happily married now in a very healthy relationship with my husband. And I have never been more submissive, if that's the word that you want to use, than I have been in this relationship. But I didn't start off like that. Like I never acted like that in my dating days. And I look back on my younger self who was shining, who was confident, who was assertive, who wasn't afraid to call things like they were, even if that was going to make people not want to talk to me. Like I always looked at that as my strength. And I've always looked at that as a process where I would be weeding out the wrong types of people. My biggest fear was not that I was going to be single. In this case, my biggest fear was that I would end up with someone who tried to contain me. Like how disgusting would that be for me to be in a relationship that's supposed to be my sanctuary? I'm supposed to be with a teammate. And for that person to be trying to dim my light, for amazing things to happen in my life, and for instead of them being proud of me, for them to try to like compete with me, like that's so gross. I wanted to be with someone where it felt like I was on a team. This girl that I grew up with told me this story that she and her husband are like around the same height. Ahmed and I are too. This is why this story stuck to me. And when she wore heels one time, they were going to a wedding, like someone else's wedding. He literally called her a skyscraper, even though she's like 5'7", she's average height. He called her a skyscraper and made her feel unattractive and not feminine in her own outfit, even though she's way hotter than him and probably looked amazing. But what happened is that she made him feel short. And I think that this is such an important example because she wasn't taller than average if she wore heels that day, which she ended up not. She's like, I just started wearing flats from now on because it made me so uncomfortable. Had she wore heels that day, she probably would have been on the average height of other women that were in that, you know, at that event. He's on the lower than average height of the men that would have been at that event. And so her wearing heels and being taller than him that day made him feel tiny, made him feel short, made him feel not masculine. And so instead of just being real with his own feelings and recognizing that that's not her problem, or if they had that type of relationship, being honest with her and just saying, listen, I know you should be able to wear whatever you want and you should, this is how it makes me feel, and then letting her go from there. Like, instead of approaching it through vulnerability, he approached it in an abusive way where he made her feel unattractive because he felt unattractive. One of the first questions I asked Ahmed when we were dating, because we are the same height, is if he would feel weird if I wore heels. And I was kind of testing him because we weren't close enough at this point where I could just be honest with him about my intentions with that question. I kind of just like threw it out there like a casual random question. But the way that he reacted was so reassuring because he was just like, I honestly think that's so sexy. Like, if you're taller than me, I don't care. Like, that's, to me, like, that's attractive. I really like tall women. So not only did that make me feel assured in my ability to still feel feminine and sexy in my relationship if I wanted to wear heels, which I never do, by the way. I don't like heels. I've never liked heels. It was more so just, I want the option of being able to do this, and I don't want you feeling intimidated to be the reason that I don't have the option to be able to do this. But more than that, it really showed me that his confidence, like, he's so confident that I don't need to literally, not just figuratively, but literally play small to make him feel better about himself. That, in fact, me being as bright and magnetic as I am makes him feel good. Like, that made me feel so reassured that I'm with someone who's really in his masculinity, like really in his masculinity, not this fake stuff that all these guys, these bros try to pretend is masculinity. Someone who's really in his masculinity so much that he's proud of the way that I carry myself. He's proud of how I shine. He's proud of my confidence. And he's not trying to put that in a little container or in a little box to make him feel better about himself. I want you to know this too. You know, if you're watching this and you're someone who is magnetic, you're someone who's charismatic, you know, you have a lot of energy, you have a lot to say, you have a lot of opinions, understand that whatever that is, if people want to call that intimidation, that is the most amazing weed out process that you could have ever asked for. It is a gift. It is not something that you need to turn the volume down. Not just because you should be able to be your full amazing self with a partner, but because turning the volume down on that will start to attract the wrong types of people, the exact types of people that you should not be with. Can you imagine turning the volume down on who you really are in the comfort of your own bedroom, in your own home, for the rest of your life? Like, if you attract a man who likes you because you've turned the volume down, how do you think they're going to want you to be in a relationship? They're going to want you to be that dimmed down version of yourself. You will never be able to fully be exactly who you are and exactly who you were put on this earth to be around that type of person. So turn the volume all the way up so that you can weed out the people who are only intent on wasting your time and trying to change you. The irony. And I could have never predicted this, even though I kind of did predict this, because when I was young, I used to be like, I want to be with someone who makes me feel safe enough to, I wouldn't use the word be submissive necessarily because I just don't like that word, but I want someone who makes me feel safe enough to take a back seat. That is how I now feel in this relationship, because I know that he's attracted to me for being my full self. He likes that I'm charismatic. He likes that I'm magnetic. He likes that I'm successful. When I am home with him, I feel safe enough to let him take the lead. When we're going out, I feel safe enough to let him take the lead, to literally lead the way. I now trust him enough, because he's shown me he's a real man, that I'm able to sit back and just let him take the lead. Literally, I'm able to sometimes turn my brain off, because as women, we are thinking so much. We are protecting ourselves so much. We're always kind of like hyper aware of our surroundings. I trust this man enough to allow me to, for the time that I'm with him, be a little less, on guard. And I think that that's beautiful. And that's always the relationship that I've wanted for myself. But I would have never found this relationship if I allowed little boys to tell me what it looked like to be a woman. I only found this relationship because I kept this strong, dominating energy while I was dating. That is the conversation that I feel is so missing from all this masculine, feminine energy, blah, blah, blah. Like, it is not black and white. The way that you're masculine and feminine, because we all have both energies. Everyone has both masculine and feminine energy. The ways that these show up are so vastly different when you're dating and when you feel like you found someone that you trust. Like, the levels that you turn up and down of those two energies are going to be different when you're on a date with someone that you barely know and when you're in bed with someone at home that you're very comfortable with and who's earned your trust. So don't let people tell you that there's a right and wrong way for you to show up. Think about the kind of person that you want to attract and who you need to weed out in the process of attracting that person. Play offense, do not play defense, and never let any little boy, never let anyone's little son, okay, who hasn't yet become a man, tell you what it looks like for you to be a woman. They're just projecting their insecurities onto you. It's not cute, okay? And they need to be called out on it. And the last thing I will say before we close this one out is, if the kinds of men giving you advice are not the kinds of men that you want to be with, please do not take their advice. Like, why would you listen to a person, man or woman, if they're not in the type of relationship that you want to be in? Why are you wasting your time on their opinions? If anything, if they're not the type of person or in the type of relationship that you want to be in, you need to look at their advice as what not to do. So just keep that in mind. As always, stay powerful out here, okay? Don't let these little boys take away your power. I love you so, so, so much, and I will see you on the next one.